Haigaon. I am Jacaro Toro, and on this channel I talk about Australian Aborigines, their languages, cultures, history, and so on. Now, in my previous video about phonology, I talked about retroflex consonant sounds. Those are sounds that are produced with the tip of the tongue pointing backwards. And the lack of such sounds in easternmost Australia. The lack of such sounds except for the R produced with the tip of the tongue pointing backwards. So, Now, that is not the whole truth that I gave in the previous video, where I implied that all languages here have the two R sounds that we find in Pama-Nyungan languages all over the continent. So the two R sounds being with the tip of the tongue backwards, and the R sound with the tip of the tongue pointing forwards. This can be either a flap, or a trill, depending on which language we are talking about. And in some languages, pronunciation varies depending on context. So, this was not the whole truth then. And today I thought we could focus on R sounds, Rhotic sounds as they are also called. And you see, the thing is that in Australia there is a smaller number of languages that have only one Rhotic phoneme. A few of them are spread out in different places, but it so happens that we find the largest concentration here in easternmost Australia. There are a number of them on the Cape York Peninsula. One more language a little further down the coast. And another one even further down on the Queensland, New South Wales border. And according to Professor R.M.W. Dixon, we can reconstruct an earlier stage, developmental stage in these languages, in all of these languages, a stage in which they all had the two Rhotic phonemes. But then, in a smaller number of languages, one has disappeared. And it is always the retroflex one that has disappeared in those languages. In some languages, this sound has become T instead. In other places, Y. In some cases, it has merged with the apical-alveolar R sound, the one with the tongue pointing forwards. And there are languages where this sound has simply disappeared. We linguists use this symbol to mean zero. That is to say that there is nothing there. So, the largest concentration of such languages here in the East then, and specifically in the Northeast. Yes, but there are also languages in Australia that have three Rhotic phonemes. Actually, on the Cape York Peninsula, there is a small group of languages here where they have the retroflex R, the apical-alveolar trill R, and the third Rhotic sound is a voiceless trill. Yes. Dixon notes that when a third Rhotic phoneme has been added. It varies in different parts of Australia what that third rhotic phoneme is. So here we have an apicoalveolar voiceless trill. Over along the coast in Western Australia, we have two neighboring languages, Kariara and Ngaroma. And it has been suggested that they have three rhotic phonemes. This one, the apicoalveolar trill, r, and also an apical post-alveolar trill. That would be r. So r and r, r, r. Yes. Here, along the Gulf of Carpentaria, there are a few neighboring languages that also have three rhotic phonemes. And there is a much larger area here where the languages have the same three rhotic phonemes as here. And in these two areas, what has happened is that they have this one, and then the flap and the trill have become different phonemes. Yes, there is more that could be said about rhotic phonemes in Australia. There is more complexity, but I think that this might be enough for today. With this complexity I have introduced, and one conclusion we can draw then is that in these languages here in the Northeast that only have one rhotic phoneme, in those languages there are no retroflex consonant sounds at all, in fact. Yes, but this will be all for today. I will be back, so see you later.